The world of Kingdom Come Deliverance very clearly prioritizes immersion. It's for the most part a very faithful recreation of early 15th century Bohemia, enabling the player to live out a medieval knight fantasy, without the distractions of, well, fantasy. But it is still a game. As such, there are Easter eggs and secrets that exist to transcend the primary illusion for the eagle-eyed player to observe. And I like secrets in games, and the truth is, not all of them are worthy of independent videos. So it's in times like this that I return to a series I've been running for years and resurrect every 6 months, to varying results, in which we explore a number of secrets in one video. And that magical number for today is going to, predictably, be 10. So we'll be exploring 10 secrets that can be found within Kingdom Come Deliverance, and who knows, maybe I'll be able to make a couple out of Kingdom Come Deliverance 2, if not more. But one step at a time. You know the drill, there will be timestamps for every secret in the description, so you can flick through and see if there's anything down there that piques your interest. After all, I'm under no illusions regarding the game's age, although realizing this title is 8 years old breaks a few delusions I've been having regarding my own. So, grab yourselves a brew, a biscuit maybe, and let's jump in to 10 secrets in Kingdom Come Deliverance. So, to not waste any time, first we're going to be venturing to a spot south of Neuhof, for it's here, laying in the field at the bottom of a gentle hill, that we will find a deceased woman. The site will be marked as an accident, and a very interesting accident it is indeed. The woman is lying in what I can only describe as a Superman pose. It appears a rock is resting on her head, and she has a broomstick. The implication being she was flying around on her broomstick and now she's, well, dead. I don't know if this is intentional, but she also appears to have a fairly sharp nose. One could even describe it as an attack nose. So the implication is this lady was a stereotypical witch. You know, the variety that floats around on a broomstick and does evil things. In her inventory we can find a charisma potion, a dagger, a couple of herbs, and a witch potion. Supposedly it will cause the user to lose control over himself and sell his soul to the devil. His hallucinations, delusions, and anxiety will be more intense. Sounds like fun. I'm gonna do it. Sure enough, drinking the potion results in what can only be described as a psychedelic episode. Everything is now a different colour, light itself becomes offensive, and you can hear strange noises that include some kind of warped voice. All things considered, it's a potent, wacky swig. The hallucinogenic effects are most certainly intense, but fortunately it will wear off eventually. The voices will fade and colour will slowly but surely return to normal. It's a cool potion that is otherwise entirely pointless. But above all else, it confirms that we are supposed to believe that this woman was a witch. We may have been able to come to that conclusion without the acid trip, but where's the fun in that? For the next bout of crazy, we're heading to this spot, directly to the south of Ratai. It is worth noting the clearing in question is slightly out of bounds, so it does take a bit of manoeuvring to see what it is we've come to see. What we'll be able to see, of course, are 4 circles in a field, and a rock that's shaped ever so slightly like you'd expect a flying saucer. I guess what's being gone for here is these are crop circles and that's a UFO, a downed alien spacecraft, and it exists here just off the map, so precious few players will ever notice it, leaving those that do wondering if aliens might be roaming medieval Bohemia. But considering it's an Easter egg, probably not. That is not the most peculiar thing one can find in the Ratai Woods. That distinction quite possibly goes to a tree wearing shoes, which I happened upon in my previous video exploring a cannibalistic serial murderer operating in the Ratai Woods area. This log wearing shoes is accompanied by some skeletons, including some bones that appear to be embedded inside it. There's also an axe jammed into it. As you can imagine, I had a hard time finding a link between this bizarre scene and any other goings-on in the area. It would seem this is a reference to the Czech fairy tale Otesanek, created by Karel Jaromír Erben in the 19th century. the story of which fixates on a couple unsuccessfully yearning for a child, who find a wooden baby that comes to life and they raise it as their own, believing of course their wish had been granted. But it grows into a monster whose hunger cannot be sated, even starting eating people, including its parents. A tyranny that continues until an old lady rips its chest open and frees all that it ate. It's a cautionary tale against greed, and I think in part the consequences of the disruption of the natural order. Either way, you would expect references to Czech fairy tales, in a game rooted in Czech history, developed by a Czech studio. For our next secret, we'll need to head to the From Ashes variant of the abandoned town Pribyslavitz, where Henry is made bailiff by Sir Divish and tasked with rebuilding the town. Fortunately, we don't have to dive down that hole of financial stress, but we do have to make note of a very particular tree. The tree underneath which Henry will hold hearings and listen to grievances. For it's in this tree that there might be something out of place. And by out of place, I mean a drone. Just a casual piece of very modern technology crash-landed in a tree in 15th century Bohemia. How did it get here? Who knows? What is it there for? Well, there's plenty of evidence that basically confirms Warhorse Studios has a phenomenal sense of humour, and all I can find were anecdotes about how Warhorse Studios crashed a drone in a tree when doing their on-site research for the game, but I wouldn't know where to start to go about confirming that. It works out, however, that the drone is not the only modern detritus we can find populating this world. For instance, at this interesting site to the southeast of Vranik, we can find a tower in the woods. There might be a poacher here, so we'll have to deal with him.
Hey, get out of here! This is no place for the likes of you!
But once he's been peacefully dealt with, we'll be free to observe that there is a traffic cone. You know, the kind you'd normally find accenting roadworks, or the kind that gets nicked by drunk students who have a strange urge to take it on a journey and place it on the head of an equestrian statue. Drunken shenanigans with a traffic cone are quite common, so it could be a nod to that. I've also heard it could possibly be a nod to Red Dwarf, and that seems to be reinforced by the anecdote I keep hearing that if you pass out drunk, you might wake up here, though I couldn't get that to trigger myself. The good news is there are other traffic cone locations. I found a second one situated west from the inn in the glade, sat beside a chest in an inaccessible barn. I've heard rumours of a third one, but haven't been able to track it down. And as it turns out, getting blackout drunk in this game is a skill unto itself. For our next secret, or more accurately our next out-of-place piece of technology, we need to venture into the Skalitz mines as part of the A Woman's Lot DLC, where we assume control of Teresa and experience the events of the sacking of Skalitz from her perspective. One of the quests will take us to the mines, and we basically need to follow that quest, navigating our way to a sunken shaft to retrieve some silver. From the spot where we retrieve the silver, we'll need to shuffle up to this elevated platform that can be a bit of a traumatic experience to accomplish, but we'll manage, and then venture across the walkway and down a shaft that is meant to be inaccessible, where the following will occur. As you can likely gather, we just got jump scared by a Polaroid. The weirdest part being this kind of camera won't exist for a few more centuries. There's just one chilling down here that automatically takes a picture of Teresa when you get too close to it, which is quite eerie to be honest, but obviously this kind of camera didn't exist yet, so it's little more than an Easter egg. Nevertheless, it's a cool reward for the natural player tendency to glitch their way out of accessible areas just to see what's there. For the sake of thoroughness, I tried to come here as Henry, only to discover the ladder that would lead you to this part of the mine doesn't exist, so I guess this is exclusive to the DLC. For our next secret, we're going to be discussing horses and their implications. The vast majority of horses in Kingdom Come Deliverance are named Horse, which is a reference to the fact that they are indeed horses. But there are many horses that have unique names, and each one appears to be a reference. At the horse trader in Merhoyed, we can find Roach, the name of Geralt of Rivia's horse from The Witcher. But that isn't the end of Witcher references among the horses, as Ciri's horse, Kelpie, can be found at the Neuhof horse trader. Evidently, somebody at Warhorse liked The Witcher. Probably multiple somebodies, but this is just scratching the surface with the horse names. Even the goat Pebbles herself is a reference to a thoroughbred British racehorse. Then there's Binky, which is a nod to Terry Pratchett's Discworld, in which Death rides a horse named Binky. This mouthful, Uchchai Shravas, is a reference to a seven-headed flying horse mentioned in the Mahabharata, an ancient Indian epic, estimated to be around 2,000 years old. Then there's Podagrus, a nod to a flesh-eating horse in Greek mythology. Warhorse Gender is supposedly a tribute to Warhorse Studios co-founder Daniel Vavra's dog. Boxer is likely a reference to the horse character Boxer from George Orwell's Animal Farm. And you get it. The list goes on. Every uniquely named horse is a reference to something, and some of those references are more obvious than others. So to save our 7th secret from being disproportionately long by comparison to the others, here's a list of all the named horses in the game. Be sure to let me know your favourite, and if it isn't Pebbles, I will break into your house. For our next secret, we've got a little Easter egg that requires us to pay a visit to the Huntsman of Talmberg. He's a fella named Nicholas, and as it turns out, he does need our help with something, beginning a quest titled Hare Hunt. The quest is not of the greatest importance, but in its journal entry it refers to Huntsman Nicholas as Nicholas Angel, which of course is the name of the lead character in Hot Fuzz, portrayed by Simon Pegg. If you've never seen that film, what have you been doing? Anyway, that makes this a pretty straightforward reference. Speaking of straightforward references, our 9th secret can be quantified as that as well. We'll need to head into the woods to the east of Ujits and dig up a grave. Doing so shall reveal a rather unmistakable scene, a corpse whose head is resting on a sack representing a pillow, whose legs are covered by the decapitated head of a horse. This is obviously a reference to a famous scene from the 1972 classic, The Godfather. We can even acquire some horse meat here, which for reasons baked entirely into 2013, makes me think of Tesco. And for our final secret, we're heading north of Neuhof into the woods, where while trawling through the greenery, we'll find some stones covering something rather interesting. A skeletal human hand with 3 metal claws, evidently a reference to the X-Men's Wolverine. There's nothing else to really be saying, it's a cool Easter egg. And that brings us neatly to the end of today's shorter than usual video. Believe it or not, I don't actually like doing exclusively very long content. I enjoy it plenty, but I also see the value in this more gap-filling stuff, especially when caught between projects. So, thank you all for watching. I really hope you enjoyed it. If you did, be sure to go ahead, leave a like, subscribe, maybe share the channel with your friends, all that wonderful stuff. It would be massively appreciated. And if you'd like to see a potential part 2, please let me know what secrets you would like to see covered in that. Furthermore, if you'd like to see a video like this on Kingdom Come Deliverance 2, be sure to let me know about secrets found in that game as well. That being said, I have a pretty good idea of where to look. As for other pesky admin, if you'd like to join us on Discord, follow the QR code on screen now. If you can put up with me for any length of time, you're more than welcome. It's cozy and everyone's very welcoming. But hey, the call is ultimately up to you. With all of that said, there's a little left to do but to wrap this video right up, so hopefully I'll see you all very soon with another video at some point. I've got a few things in the works, but until next time, please take care and goodbye.